So we are in my apartment now. It's actually currently Sunday and I filmed the airport footage on Wednesday when I arrived. So it's been a few days. I'm slowly settling back into the whole LA thing. And now I'm gonna answer some of your questions. So if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that I posted a question sticker thing and asked you guys if you had any questions about COVID pandemic travel, and I would do my best to answer them. I will preface this by saying this is all my experience. Obviously, if you are doing any traveling, make sure you know all the COVID guidelines in your area for your airlines, all of that stuff. This is just everything that I know to the best of my ability and then my own personal travel experience during this time. And before I start, if you're new to my channel and you have no idea where I traveled from or why I'm here, I live in Toronto. I flew out of Pearson International Airport to LAX and I'm back in LA for work. So that is my situation, and yeah, let's get into your questions. Let's get started. Are the tickets super cheap? Great question. They are actually very inexpensive right now, at least flying from Toronto to LAX. It was definitely the cheapest ticket I have bought coming to LA probably ever. Definitely very inexpensive and also really good upgrade prices. Which airline did you fly and did you do research before booking? So I flew with Air Canada, which is the airline I fly with pretty much all of the time. I believe right now Air Canada is the only airline that offers a direct flight from Toronto to LA, and I didn't want to be switching planes because I feel like that's just more exposure, and I wanted to get on the plane, fly, and get off, be as safe as possible, not move around and be like touching stuff and breathing in a bunch of air in different airports. I flew with Air Canada. I didn't do research. I fly with them all the time, so I just had my own like personal experience with them. Can you take as much luggage as you want? It's really funny because when I was packing my bags, and obviously I'm packing to move back, so I had a lot of luggage, I definitely thought to myself, like, surely they'll let me pack more than the luggage allowance because like there's gonna be like no one on the plane, right? The answer, however, is no. You're still allowed your regular amount of luggage and you still have to pay for your luggage, and if your luggage is overweight, they do still ask you to move things around, so it is within the weight restrictions of luggage. Unfortunately, no, you can't take as much luggage as you want. I wish that was the case. Do you have to quarantine for 2 weeks? No, I don't. So as of me making this video, there are no state rules in California or federal rules of Canadians needing to quarantine when they come to California, but if you are an American traveling back to Canada, you do need to quarantine for 2 weeks. And I should also say, right now as an American, you can't travel to Canada for leisure, but you can go there if you're a Canadian re-entering the country or if you're an American going there for work. But in any case, if you're coming from the States, you do have to do a 2-week quarantine when you're back in Canada, but it doesn't apply the other way around. So the short answer is no, I do not have to quarantine for 2 weeks. I thought the border was shut down, or is that only entering Canada from the US? I guess I answered that a little bit. The air border is not shut down. So as I said, as a Canadian, you're able to fly into the States, but there are restrictions on who is allowed into Canada from the States. But as of making this video, the land border is still closed. So I don't think you can drive into the States or drive into Canada. I'm from Toronto, living in Cali. I want to go home, but I'm afraid of not being let back in. You're able to go home, bud. If you're a Canadian living in the States, you are able to go back home to Canada. Like I said, you do have to quarantine for 2 weeks, and then you can come back to the States and you're all good. It's all good. Go home. Go home. Canada's great. Will you be tested for COVID before/after you get to LA? I did take a COVID test before I left Toronto to come to LA, and then I also have taken a COVID test since getting to LA. You don't need to have a negative COVID test to enter the States. I was just asked by my job to take a COVID test, so that's why I took one, and then I'm required to get tested multiple times a week also for my job in the States. In Toronto, there are a ton of assessment centers that you can go to. You don't need any kind of appointment, and you can get your COVID test just so you know your status before you fly if that makes you feel more comfortable, but it is not a necessity. Okay, let's scoot in a little bit. I feel like I'm far. Any huge differences in how Toronto and LA are handling it? Masks, social distancing, etc. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious what the differences are based on the numbers. I will say though, most people that I have seen in LA are in masks. I thought there would be a lot more maskless people here, so I am happy to see that most people are abiding by the rules. If you're not aware, right now in LA, you do have to wear a mask everywhere. Pretty much in any public space, when you leave your home, you should be masked. I definitely watched a lot of like unsettling videos on Instagram beforehand of people like yelling at Trader Joe's employees because they didn't want to wear their mask. So I was a little bit nervous to see that firsthand, but so far I haven't, and I hope I don't. It is also worth mentioning though that the rules in Toronto right now are different, so we don't need to wear a mask outside. We only need to wear a mask if we're like going into a store. There are different rules in California, and I'm happy to oblige. Are you nervous to go back to the US during this time? Yes, I was definitely very, very nervous to come back here. Obviously, California especially is not the best place to be right now if you're concerned for your health and safety, but I'm very grateful to have a job and I'm very excited to start shooting again. So was I nervous and am I nervous? Yes, but you know, you just got to do your part and hopefully slowly but surely things will go back to normal. Anxiety level getting on the plane. You know what, not too bad. I think my anxiety arriving to the States and being here was higher than being on the plane, to be honest. Maybe like a 6? Like a 6. Are you going to wear a face shield? No, I didn't wear a face shield, but I was in a surgical mask. Did everyone get 3 seats to themselves? That is a great question. The answer where Air Canada is concerned is no. You don't get 3 seats to yourself. There were definitely less people on the flight than there typically are, but no, there's no sort of every other seat or row to yourself on the Air Canada flight I was on, at least. Do you have to wear masks the whole time? Yes, so you do have to be in a mask the entire time. And I got a lot of questions about like food, how do you eat? So essentially what happens is you can remove your mask to take a sip of your drink or a bite of your food, and then you have to put your mask back on. So pretty much between every bite, your mask should be back on your face. And they even make an announcement saying if you have your mask off continuously as you're eating, it is in violation of their safety rules. It is an awkward way to eat and drink, that's for sure, but those are the rules. Masks are on the whole time. So yes, you are able to eat and drink, but you gotta do a lot of like put your mask down and all that. I've been looking to travel but am not confident. What helps you stay confident? I guess just taking all the necessary safety precautions. I personally would not travel by air right now if I wasn't obligated to for work. A lot of the traveling that my family did this summer was by car, so we took little road trips around our province and saw different national parks and did hikes and all of that sort of thing. Just see what's around you. Like my family found that this year we discovered more about our province than we ever had in the past. I think our tendency typically is like we don't explore our own backyard. You're always wanting to travel to a different city or a different country or province or state or whatever. So take this opportunity to actually explore what your area has to offer, because you would be very, very surprised. Things to bring in your purse/handbag. Traveling to Hawaii in a few weeks and I'm nervous. So on our flight, we were actually provided with a little baggie full of like safety goodies. There were things like gloves, antiseptic wipes, a mini hand sanitizer, a mask, a water bottle, and a couple of other goodies. So the first thing I would urge you to do is do a little bit of research about your airline and see if they provide any of this equipment. And if they don't, then just pack your own little COVID precaution baggie with those things. You know, Lysol wipes. I personally still like wipe down my whole seat and my table and my screen and all of that. Gloves, mask, hand sanitizer, pretty much everything I think that was in the baggie we got is anything that you might want with you at your seat to feel extra safe and that you're taking all the precautions you need to be healthy. Is the airport pretty empty compared to what it's usually like? Yes, the airport was freakishly empty. The outside of the airport where my parents dropped us off was like super barren. It felt apocalyptic. I mean, it's usually just full of cabs, people dropping off their loved ones, and there were maybe like 10 cars in the whole terminal dropping people off. The inside of the airport was also super empty, but I will say I thought that our check-in process would be super streamlined because there weren't that many people at the airport, but there also aren't a lot of employees at the airport, which means that if you do need any kind of assistance, it does still end up taking the same amount of time because there's less people available to assist you. However, there was no line at customs, which was amazing, and there was no line in security, which was amazing. So check-in was slower than I anticipated, but everything after that was like super, super quick. This is a good one. What's your skincare after wearing a mask all day traveling? Great question. I actually didn't do anything different than what I normally do for my skincare. I just made sure that I did it, especially because I was in a mask all day. I have a few videos outlining my favorite skincare products and what I love to use, so I will leave a link for you guys. You can check it out. Just make sure you do your skincare routine, because obviously having like cloth on your face all day, recycled air, it's, you know, it's not great. Favorite mask to wear? I'm boring. Like, I just like your classic blue surgical mask, but I do want to buy a reusable mask. Obviously it's better for the environment, but I do want to find one that's got a really good good like filter system and isn't just aesthetic. So yeah, for now, just sticking to the good old surgical masks. And I'll finish off on this question: what kind of clothes do you wear while traveling? My number one thing is comfort. And if you can look cute while you're comfortable, that's a plus. But I'm not gonna sacrifice my comfort for a cute outfit when I'm spending 5 hours on a plane. So usually some kind of like legging or sweatsuit combo. I like to do layers because I never know if I'm gonna be too hot or too cold. I'm usually too cold, but I've been on hot flights too, which is the worst. And then obviously the clothes I wore on this flight went into the laundry as soon as I was home. But yeah, comfort, 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 comfort. Okay, you guys, that is the end of my COVID Q&A. What a weird time. I hope I answered some of your questions. If you have any other questions that I didn't address in this video, leave them down below and I will try to get to them and do my best to give you a helpful answer. I hope you guys are all staying safe and well, and if you are traveling during this time, please be sure to take all the necessary precautions. Be safe, be healthy, and I'll see you next week. Bye.